G'day and welcome back. This is the first matchup analysis podcast of season 2025. So I have enjoyably received some new subscribers on this YouTube channel. Many of the regulars will know what this is all about, but what we're going to do is we are going to go through each game of the NRL round, and we're going to analyze the matchups just like you can see here on the screen. I hit on the positive matchups, so where from fantasy and SuperCoach perspective, players have more likelihood of hitting their upside in a scoring perspective. In terms of fantasy and SuperCoach, that can mean not just tries, but it can mean tackle busts, offloads, all that sort of thing. And then we look at some tougher matchups, and it just helps you decide which reserves to play, who to captain, who to vice captain, whatnot. Overall, as well, these matchup analysis, it will help you understand which side a team is dominant. So, for example, this is a bad one on the screen here, but let's say Brian To'o lines up on the left. You know, you've got that left dominance, and he has left elite matchup as LCTW, stands for left center wing. So you can sort of see how this breaks down. You go, yeah, I've got Brian To'o, I'm going to start him. I might even VC him or whatnot in a deep league, that sort of thing. And you can see, but the Panthers are pretty balanced. So, you know, you might also feel confident starting your other Panthers outside back. So that's the basis here. I'm going to power through this. I do not like to belabor this sort of podcast because it is the second effort of the week for me. Just before we do dive further in, guys, I have been going live on YouTube on a Tuesday night just to answer and discuss team lists and answer any waiver, TLT questions, any trade analysis questions as well. So that's live on YouTube sometime after 7 p.m. typically. So right here, Rabbitohs, Panthers, running through the Rabbitohs, generally a tougher matchup. 15 discrepancy points in favour of the Panthers is a pretty sort of significant SuperCoach and Fantasy output differential. So basically, Panthers should dominate is what we're sort of seeing here. Gun matchup for the right 2RF for the Bunnies, left half, right centre and hooker all have great matchups. The last good matchups are for the wingers, left and right. So yeah, the Panthers haven't been the defensive stalwart we've come to know, but they're still obviously always a team you want to probably avoid playing marginal players in, which I think makes a bit of sense. What else was I going to say? No, that's really it. And then just, for the Panthers, Dane Laurie, he's a must start if you've got him. Elite matchup for left half, left wing, left TORF. So that left side of the Panthers is really humming, guys. Right wing and hooker have great matchups too, and it gets a little bit tougher for the front rowers and the right centre, Isaac Tungo. So it's sort of the breakdown there. Just got to pause this for a sec. All right, I'm back. Next game, Roosters-Titans. For the Roosters, gun matchup for the lock and the left 2RF. Elite matchup for the left centre. Front rowers have great matchups. Good matchup for the hooker. Left winger, it gets a little bit poor. Fullback for Teddy, neutral. Right centre, neutral. But that showing us, if we're getting neutrals there, overall, pretty solid lineup for the Roosters we would suspect against the Titans. You can see how this is working. So if you're new here, you kind of get a feel for this. Statistically, De Groot has an elite matchup, but he's pretty unproven, so just be careful if you're relying on Jalen De Groot. Probably get a sider on him first, see how he fits in. I don't think Kinney getting injured was in the plan, so I don't think De Groot probably had much preseason to sort of prepare for this, stepping up to this role. So I'm sure he'll improve as the season goes on, but yeah, maybe get a sider on De Groot first. Right half, which is big, that's Jaden Campbell. So all you Jaden Campbell owners, there's a real big chance for a VCC option here sort of thing with this matchup against the Roosters. But yeah, sorry, I'll keep going through the Roosters. I've already done that, sorry, I'm an idiot. Front rowers have great matchups. Left half, great matchup. That's Sandon Smith. Bad matchup for the right 2RF, poor matchup for the hooker and the lock. It's pretty balanced. Both these teams have been leaky and kind of have good scoring games too. There's been that combo, so they're really balanced. Roosters are left dominant, Titans are right dominant. But yeah, someone like Teddy, not the ideal captaincy choice. But you know, in years gone past, you captain your fullback against the Titans and you hope for the best. It may have been last year where like everyone but fullback carved up the Titans. And I don't know if that's like a Des Hasler scheme thing where it's like at all costs deny the fullback, but don't read too much into that. I think if you're a Teddy owner, a VC or a C is feasible. Just want to note though, the weather in Sydney actually for both these games just end the whole weekend. It's going to be a bit of a grubby affair, so do be cautious with your highly volatile players from a captaincy and vice captaincy perspective. If you're a Payne Haas, Tino sort of owner, it might be a weekend to maybe secure the 65-point captaincy outing, perhaps. Not saying you have to do that, but just something to consider. Game 3, Dolphins Broncos up in Suncorp. It has been raining here for 2 days, and I think it is planned to continue to rain, so just bear that in mind as well with like your Reece Walshes and whatnot. For the Dolphins, elite matchup for the hooker and the right centre, great matchup for the right 2RF, lock front rowers all have good matchups. It gets bad for hammer, left half and left 2RF. For the Broncos, gun matchup for the hooker, left 2RF, right winger, elite matchups, great matchup for the lock and the left edge. Tough matchup for the left half though. Front rowers have poor matchups. Big favour here for Broncos. The Broncos should carve up. On the data we have at hand this season, the Broncos should carve up. Both teams are pretty balanced in the way they score their fantasy points on the pitch. Broncos leaning a little right currently, which is where Adam Reynolds is, as you can sort of see. He's been carving up, so he's sort of leading that output there. Indeed, Marin has been pretty good and whatnot. Next game, Dragon Storm. For the Dragons, elite matchup for the left half, left centre. Great matchup for the lock and the right winger. Good matchup for the fullback, which is a popular conversation around Gutho and whether he's a trade-in in classic formats. Left winger, neutral matchup. Front rower and hooker, bad matchups for the Storm's forward pack. Pretty stingy. Storm front rowers have elite matchups. I wouldn't read too much into that. They don't really get the minutes. Left 2RF, fullback and left half, great matchup. Hooker, good matchup for Harry Grant owners, which is good for me in fantasy standard. Bad matchup for the left centre, right centre, and the right winger is the case with the Storm. This one's pretty marginally weird because the Dragons have weirdly been stingy in their 2 games, noting they've had a bye. And they've scored well as well in there from a fantasy and supercoach perspective. So that's why this is telling you a bit of a weird story that doesn't match up with previous year's expectations. But you fire up your Storm and you're pretty confident in that. Dragons dominant left, which is Gutho's preferred edge with Tui Pelotu, and the Storm are just really good on their outside edges. Next game, Cowboys Raiders. God, I'm out of breath having not done this for a whole season. For the whole off-season. But Cowboys, gun matchup for the right centre. Front rowers have elite matchups. Great matchups for the right 2RF and the right half. Left half neutral, and it's bad for the fullback Drinky, bad for the lock, bad for the left centre. They're balanced and they're generally scoring pretty poorly in SuperCoach and Fantasy, guys. Stay away from Cowboys if you can. Raiders, kind of on the other hand, though, are scoring really well and are pretty stingy. And just the poor defence and poor scoring from the Cowboys is why the Raiders have just such a significant discrepancy score there. But front rowers have gun matchups. Right half, Fogarty gun matchup. Elite matchup, right 2RF, right winger. Left 2RF, elite matchup, Huddy Young. Bad matchup at lock. Neutral matchup, left half, Ethan Strange. And neutral matchup for Tom Starling. But you fire up your Raiders with confidence and hope they bounce back. Game 6, Sharks Dogs. Gun matchup for left winger, Ronaldo Mulatalo. So hopefully he goes well. My boy, I've got him in draft. Lock elite matchup. Right centre great matchup. Left centre great matchup. So Sharks, fire up your outside backs. Obviously, even though there's a tough matchup on paper for Stone Street, I'm not really overthinking it. Left half good matchup. Hooker neutral matchup. Right half Nico bad matchup, but don't overthink it. Right 2RF bad matchup. Nickera, but don't overthink it. For the Dogs, lock great matchup. Right half good matchup, and the stingiest team, the Sharks. Right 2RF, left 2RF, left half, all poor. Right winger, front rowers, bad matchups. Solid discrepancy to the Sharks. They're dominant on their edges, and then specifically on the left because of Ero and Mulatalo hitting upside. And the Bulldogs are dominant down the left and in the middle. But yeah, not a lot to say on the Dogs, as we all know. Game 7, Sea Eagles, gun matchup left half, but don't overvalue Luke Brooks. Left centre, but don't overvalue him either. Right centre, elite matchup. Fullback, elite matchup, Tommy Turbo. Right winger, great matchup. Right to RF, Ola Kawatu, good matchup. Right half, DCE, bad matchup. Hooker, tough matchup. Left winger, neutral matchup. But don't overthink this, guys. Just fire up your Eagles against the Eels. Big discrepancy, and they're dominant down there right, the Eels, as you can tell. For the Eels themselves, they got elite matchup for the hooker and lock, so good for Jermaine Hopgood holders and owners in all formats. Great matchup for the right half, the right centre. Good matchup for the right winger. Neutral matchup, right to RF. Bad matchup, left wing, left centre, left half. Has a tough matchup. Big discrepancy. The Eels dominant down their left, but poor in general, similar to the Cowboys, guys, when it comes to scoring. Tigers Warriors last game of the... Oh no, this is the wrong... It's not game 8. Oh, it is. I just haven't updated their little pictures. Sorry, guys. Well, Tigers Warriors. Right wing, gun matchup for the Tigers. Left to RF, hooker, front rowers, and left winger, all great matchups. And then poor matchups for fullback, lock, and centre, but fire up your Tigers. Warriors, good matchup for the right half, left wing, left to RF, left centre. Neutral matchup, right wing, right centre. So they're dominant down the left, but pretty balanced in general. Tough matchup. Or I should say, sorry, the Tigers are weak down there, weak to left opponents. Should say, my bad. So that is left wing is great. No, gun. I'm tripping on my own thing here. Just follow the matchups. It's all good. They're both wingers have great and gun, so it's fine. Yeah, sorry. Good matchup for those left wingers, left to RF, left centre. Neutral matchup, right winger, right centre. Tough matchup for lock, fullback, front rower. As I said, discrepancy in favour of the Tigers, but it's a 50-50 coin flip, this one, as we all know. Can the Tigers maintain what they're doing, and can the Warriors travel and bring that winning success back to Australian shores is the question for this one. I really don't know who I tip in this one. It's a real nasty one. Hopefully an enjoyable game nonetheless, and not too many errors. Tigers, they're sort of scoring through the middle due to Terrell, and they're balanced in general. Warriors are balanced as well, where they're scoring their points. That'll do us, guys. 11 minutes, 12 minutes. I'm absolutely out of breath. It's nasty work, but hope you enjoyed this statistical review. Remember to use this data just to inform your sit starts, to inform your vice captains, captaincies. There's a lot of variance in the data. There's a lot of stuff we can explain really easily, anecdotally, using what we've watched in the footy. So just take it with a grain of salt, but enjoy. If you like this, leave a like and a comment, and be sure to set notifications. So when I'm live for TLT and Waiver Wire to discuss and answer your questions on who you should pick up and where your teams are at and all that sort of stuff, you get a notification. You can join the chat we've had, or like some of our community members in there chatting. It's been really fun. You can look at the past videos on my feed if you want to get an insight into how casual and nice it is. So just jump in there, throw a question in there, and have a yarn. So do that, and appreciate the support. Remember to follow me and DM me on Discord if you on Twitter if you want to join our Discord where it all happens. So yeah, appreciate that. Talk soon, and good luck this weekend.